Good morning, Aaron. Good. How are
Good
you doing
morning.
this
Good
morning?
morning, Sandra. How are you today?
I am good, thanks.
Excellent. It's a beautiful Saturday morning out here. The sun is shining, no sign of rain. It's a day to be excited.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Right.
So this pops up. So we're live and we're live on YouTube, but I want you to know that you can go ahead and share this.
Awesome.
You can share it while we're on.
Okay.
Um, you can share it with all your friends. So we got some people watching over here. So this morning we're talking about action. And the last two live we did, we talked about knowledge and we talked about belief.
Yep.
And today we're talking about action. So from knowledge to belief to action. And we want to ignite change for growth. Action is really igniting, taking action is really igniting change for growth. So so
Absolutely. Action.
so what
Action.
is
No action, no creation. Action is the catalyst, right? And we can focus all we want, on self development, but until we take action, nothing happens. It's so critical.
exactly? Until we take action, nothing will happen. So for the people who are maybe thinking, well, how do I do this? How do I get into action? First, I want to talk about what is action. So, action is a process or a state of acting or of being active. It's a state of acting or of being active. So it's really physically doing something.
Something
That's really
concrete.
taking doing
Concrete.
something concrete. That's
Concrete.
really taking action.
Yes.
And of course there's a mental and a physical state to action. So I want to say you marinate that in your mind or in your spirit or your soul. You want to say it's there, it's a burning thing.
Yes.
But for it to be real, you have to physically do it. So it's
Absolutely.
like creating and
Yes.
then physically doing that thing.
That's right.
That's really action. And we usually, so the creating is I would like to say it's the decision you make. So it's happening inside of you. You make a decision about
Hmm.
it and then
Hmm.
you do it. That's really
Absolutely.
action. But Aaron, it's easier said than done, right?
Yes.
It's not that easy.
No. No,
Easier
it's not.
said than done.
It's not.
So let's talk about how difficult it is. It ends why most of us don't take action. Most of us stay stuck because action is daunting. I would say. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. There's a couple of barriers, I would say, and procrastination is one of them. And again, that goes back to doing the internal work. And if you feel strongly enough about something, but you find you're not taking action, there's got to be a reason why. And usually there's some fear associated with it. So it's so important, to do that internal work and remove any obstacle that can get you that's holding you back from taking action on the things that you desire for yourselves. And
Yes.
another thing would probably be perfectionism. We're waiting for that right moment, or we don't feel that we can do it properly, or we have the fear of what people might say, or the results might be negative, and we use those those ideas of perfectionism or doing it perfect as a way of holding us back, right?
Yeah.
But the way forward is just to take small incremental steps, set goals, and maybe you could even develop a system such as the 5 second rule. As soon as something you have your goal set and you're ready to take action, but you find that you're inhibited in some way, you should just go. Just the thought comes in and just go with it. And someplace I use that, Sandra, is in the morning. um,
Hmm.
I heard about the cold plunge and the cold shower, and somebody talked about training the mind. And so when I turn on that shower and that cold water is there, and sometimes you're just there, shivering. But if you just act on it, take as a 5 second,
Right.
the longer
Take
you
the
think about
plunge.
it, it's just
Take
going
the
to
plunge.
hold you back, right? So if
Yeah.
you have this goal, you got to do it. Don't sit there and linger and ponder, and just take action, right?
Yes.
So that's a good way to overcome that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So let's talk about procrastination, because we know it's a biggie,
Hmm.
and it's what keeps many of us in this rut of
Yeah,
not taking action,
yeah.
this procrastination. So let's talk about overcoming that, and we know procrastination, that it comes stem from fear, really.
Hmm.
It stemmed from us being afraid of who we are, being
Hmm.
afraid of what we could do,
Hmm.
and then so in our mind, we keep the what
Right.
if they don't like it, what if
Yeah.
I'm not good enough, what if, and that keeps us at this base level, and so we sit there with our creativity and our amazingness, and we don't take action. So let's talk about how to overcome this demon, I would say, procrastination. I
Well,
call it that because
a couple of
it's
things come to mind. Number one, we have to do the work. We have to become aware of our that inner critic, that inner voice that we have, and to unlearn and relearn. The
yeah.
language, the internal language for motivation for taking action. Another thing is the image that we have in our mind of ourselves, our self image, and how do
Hmm.
we see ourselves? Because again, if we have these latent images that they're in our subconscious mind, that I can't do anything, I'm no good, I can't achieve, those we have to do the work and to get rid of those latent images and self talk, and just
Yes.
become conscious of it and be intentional. When you feel those things, you hear those things coming on, you know what to do. Like we talked about the 5 second rule, where you just act, just take a step forward. And I think
Right.
if we do that repeatedly and create a practice, then in time, we can overcome procrastination. And I think it's human, right? We're human.
Yes.
It's not something that I think it's going to probably go away forever. But if we have the tools, right, to recognize it and know how to overcome it in that moment, I think we'll be well served.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So, some of the steps that we can take, or some things that we can give our viewers for their toolkits, like, because it's one thing to talk about, action in taking actionable steps to reach our goals, but if people don't know how they can break it down, so that they can actually get to that place to take action, because of course, like we said on the top of the conversation, it's easier said than done. If it was easy, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because
Exactly.
even myself, I struggle sometimes with taking action, and if
Yeah.
it was really easy, we would just be taking action, and
Right.
we would be further along.
Yeah.
But of course, we know that it's not that easy, and this is why, we break it down into actionable steps that we can use. And I'm trying to get my notes, and my phone is acting up. In some of the steps that are some of the tools that our viewers can put in their toolkits, or like I thought about stuff like setting goals, setting
Right.
measurable goals,
Yes.
setting, and you can drag a few out of your toolkit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I know that's in my toolkit is setting those goals and writing them down. Like I find that when I put it on paper,
Yes.
I can visualize it, and it's real to me.
Nice.
So that thing that was in my head, or
Nice.
in my spirit,
Nice.
comes out on a paper with my pen, and it becomes really real. and
Wonderful.
and and, and that sounds cliche, but it's true. It
Yes.
becomes real, feel when you write it down. So to set it, writing down those goals
Yes.
and visiting them and taking small steps
Yes.
to accomplish them. So
Yes.
if it's a phone call you need to make, or it's something you need to purchase, or something, or somebody you need to talk to, or
Right.
class you need to take, or
Yes.
what it is that's going to get you to that, to taking action toward that thing.
Right.
So setting measurable goals, measurable and attainable goals. Because
Right.
like when I say measurable and attainable goals that are now, because there's a bigger picture, maybe 2-3 years down the road, or even 6 months down the road, but what you can do now. Maybe
Yes.
you can do right now is calling somebody and talking about that thing. Calling, and when I say call somebody, I don't mean anybody. Somebody that's already doing that thing,
Definitely.
that thing you want to do, or somebody that has knowledge in that thing that you want to do,
Right.
right? So that's one.
Awesome. Awesome.
What's in your toolkit?
I love it. I love it, Sandra. You know, the goal is to become conscious competence, where you know that you know, and having tools in your toolbox, in your self-development toolbox, put you on that know that you know. And what I love what you're talking about, because it's when you as you started speaking, like the analogy came to mind, SMART, SMART, right?
Yeah.
In terms of goals, and you hit it right. It has to be specific, right? You have to be very clear and very defined about the goal that you want to achieve. And then you have to be able to measure it. So give it a time, give it a way of measuring it, a defined, distinct way of knowing or seeing your progress. And then it has to be achievable,
Yes.
something that you can do. And you know, the bigger the goal, sometimes if you've never done it before, if it's so grand, you might feel that fear and that intimidation, and you might procrastinate if you don't have tools to help you to move forward. And then it has
Yes.
to be relevant, right? Something that you can relate to, something that you feel that you can accomplish and you can do, and it's real in your life. And then it has to be time bound. You have to give it a timeline.
Yes.
Is it 30
Yes.
days, 60 days, 90 days? I'm a big believer in the subconscious mind. Time doesn't exist in the subconscious mind. If you repeatedly rehearse your activity, be it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, once you have that discipline and you are rehearsing mentally and you're taking action in the conscious, it's bound to happen. So you have to be specific, you have to be measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. And I'm going to add something to that, Sandra.
Mm-hmm.
What you were saying, because you're on the right track, having SMART goals, but there's also different types of actions. And this is something that I think, again, we have to be aware of in our journey of self-development. There are proactive actions, there are reactive actions, and there are
Right.
maintenance actions, right? So
Huh.
proactive actions, again, goes back to SMART, right? It's like you have to set goals, you have to create plans, and this enables you to continuously seek out new opportunities. And then
Yes.
reactive actions is concerned with how are you adapting to new circumstances. Like, you have to be adaptable when you're on this journey. It's not a straight
Mm-hmm.
line, it's up and down, right? And you have to keep your state of mind up, and you have to be able to rebound, to bounce back from circumstances, become resilient as you go along in this life. And I think that's the exciting thing about life, right? Being resilient,
Right.
being able to adapt to our circumstances, right? We become masters
100%.
of our
100%.
circumstances,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
the last is maintenance actions, and this is something that we can do to help us sustain our progress. And these are things like daily habits or routines that are aligned with our goals, right? So if we keep that in mind, SMART goals, proactive actions, reactive actions, and maintenance actions, we do those things, I think it can make our journey of self-development so exciting and so defined and measurable and concrete, and puts you on that path to getting to the point where you know that you know who you are, what your knowledge base, your beliefs, and the things you can make real in your life.
That's amazing, Aaron. That's amazing. You're so right. And let's dive into, so tell me something, Aaron.
Mhm.
So tell me a story of when you had to take action. When it was nervy. It
Yeah,
was really nervy,
yeah,
but you did it
yeah,
because people want to know. Like I believe that our lives it's our lives, we're constantly creating
yeah,
testimony. So when
yeah,
we go through the test, it becomes a testimony. And that's what people want to hear. People want to hear,
yes.
what's your experience around this subject of action,
Uh,
this
awesome.
delicate subject of action, because let's face it, the reason why I say it's delicate, because this is where people experience a lot of anxiety.
Yeah,
Whether it could be small, it could be buying a car,
right.
buying a new home, or
Yeah,
changing career, like
yeah.
or creating taking your hobby and
Hmm.
making it your business,
Right.
or something like that. It could be
Yeah,
simple. It could be having a child,
yeah,
thinking about, building a family, having children, and
right.
getting married, whatever those action steps that's really going to change your life, because
Yeah,
those things will, in some
yes,
way or the other.
yes,
It's really nervy for a lot of people.
yes.
And I know for myself,
Hmm.
I get extremely nervous when I have to make a change.
Right.
Action is change, right? Change is action. How do you tell me a time when you had to take action,
Yeah, yeah,
and how
for
did you
sure.
do it?
For sure, for sure. And as you're talking there, something came to mind, and it's transmute. How do we transmute that negative energy into something positive and something creative? And
Right.
and again, we have to be realistic. My situation uh, relies around finances, around money.
Mm-hmm.
And I know not everybody is in the situation that I'm in. So the situation was realistic to me,
Right.
whereby I had to come up with a sum of money in a certain period.
Mm-hmm.
And because I have an activity that I do to generate income, I was able to use it, all right, to accomplish a goal that I had set out for myself. So here it is. It's 2017. My son is in West Africa. The thought of going to West Africa to visit him and to be there for my granddaughter's first birthday was something that we were, as a family here in Canada, we were talking about. My daughter, my son, and my younger son and I and my wife were wanted to go, but
Mm-hmm.
it was very expensive to go to Africa. I mean, the tickets were
Mm-hmm.
like $1,500 each,
Right.
and it was a major, because I'm starting from ground zero. This is January of 2017, and we're going to be going in December of 2017. So January we didn't have the funds. I didn't have the funds, but um, I wanted to make sure that everybody was on board to go into
Mm-hmm.
Africa. I said, "Don't worry about it. We're going to get the money. We're going to go." So once I spoke to my daughter, and once she committed, she said, "Okay, Dad, I'm going to go." And
Mm-hmm.
it's like something, it sparked something within me, because I always believe that when your back is against the wall, when my back is against the wall, when it's do or die, right, I find a way. Do
Find
or
a
die.
way. That's
Even though
resiliency, right?
you can't see it in the moment,
Right.
but once I decided, I went to my tool shop, which is,
Hmm.
for me, my go-to is my visualization. I have a workshop in my mind that I go to, and I sit down and I have a screen in this workshop, and I can
Mhm.
visualize the outcome of what I desire to be. And for this
Wow.
particular situation, I desired to have my tickets purchased for my trip in 90 days.
Huh.
So every day, right? So the business that I'm in is insurance. And what I would do is in my workshop, I would just visualize myself going to the office a couple of times a week, handing in policies, handing in policies. And I did that without any hesitation, with total commitment, with total discipline, that from February to May, right?
Hmm.
Boom, the
Boom.
funds were there to buy
Boom.
the tickets. And in what I'm not telling you, in between, I had to take action. I had to get to a level where it was do or die. I'm on the phone, I'm talking to people, I'm working,
Hmm.
and things just start coming together. Like, there's a saying that whatever you're looking for, it's also looking for you guys. And I'm telling you, it's I'm gonna say, I don't want to say it was a miracle, but what triggered it was when I made that decision. I went to my workshop and I had the practice. I was doing this activity in my mind, in my mind's eye, and in the reality. I was on the phone, I was making contact, I was meeting people, and I had a system going to make sure that the goal was achieved. And again, when I was in that state, there was no thought of fear, no thought of not reaching the goal, no thought.
Right, right, right.
Everything just came together, you know?
Because you had complete you turned that fear into that initial fear into faith,
Yes,
and so you went into to action mode.
right,
Your action mode was making those calls and believing.
right.
Because
And
a lot of times we can do a lot of things, but when we don't believe,
yeah,
that's why a lot of people get frustrated,
yes,
because they didn't believe that it could happen or would happen. So in your situation, you believe that
right.
this you're going to go, this is going to happen,
I
right?
told my subconscious mind what I desired, and I
Yes,
impressed it upon my subconscious mind, and the events unfolded. The
amazing.
events came into place. Things fall into place. There was no stress. There was no anxiety, right? And we're human beings. We're gonna have those little moments. But I'm telling you, if
Yeah,
you want, when you're working towards accomplishing something, there is no fear. Fear doesn't exist. Fear is false information appearing real. Don't allow the negative energy to percolate in your mind and to pull away from that which you desire. You have to have that focus, the eye of the eagle focus on your endpoint, and don't look back. And when you're there, don't tell people about what you're doing. You
yeah.
don't want negative energy to come in, because we have to, let's get real, man. We are living in a world of energy. There's good energy, there's bad energy. Let's not be naive. Okay.
Yeah,
When we get into that I'm going to call it that workshop, that cave, whatever you want to call it, you're there. It's just you
that
and
space,
that
that
space and your
creative
creative
space.
juices. It's only for you. You can talk after it's done, but when you're
Hmm.
there, keep your energy focused. If it's anything, maybe your partner, your whatever, your closest person who's going to give you, more positive energy, right?
Yes,
You have to
yes,
protect
yes,
your creative energy. And
yes.
I'm telling you, I don't want to say magic, but we have the power, we have the ability to create once we get into the practice and the know-how, and we know that we can make things happen. And this is just one example.
We really do, Aaron. We really do. Everything that we do in our lives, we're really creating it, whether we believe it or not.
Mhm,
And I come to learn that, and you talk about energy, and
mhm,
we are energy,
mhm,
we are creating every single, from the moment we wake up,
mhm,
the moment we go to bed again,
mhm,
we are constantly creating. And
mhm.
as I get older, I'm really understanding how much I'm creating my now, because every minute of the day is our now.
Hmm.
We only have now, we only have today, we only have this minute that we're speaking, we only have this hour that we're in, we only have this next hour, and we're going to have results based in how we create in this time. So
Yes.
but I find that a lot of times we spend most of our day worrying about and worrying more and creating less.
Yeah.
And so we do that so much till it becomes a habit. But you're absolutely right. If we zone in on our creative ability, in knowing that we're creating our lives every
Yes.
minute, then
Yes.
we would do more creating and less stressing,
Right.
less worrying, less what ifing. Because I know we go to the
Yeah.
what if. We do
Yeah.
a lot of what ifs. But if we just dive into this thing that I believe God has given us, this amazing, powerful source, which is called energy.
Mm.
If we live there
Yeah.
and move there and be
Right.
there, we're going to have better results in our lives. I want to talk about a little bit about and I'll talk about an illness that I had when I was 40. I was diagnosed with Graves' disease and literally almost die. I lost 40 pounds in 2 months. I was so skinny. I know I'm a dark girl, but I was double black. I call it black. It was so dark. When I went to see the specialist, they were scared. I was in the hospital for about a week and a half or 2 weeks. I think up to
Hmm.
2 weeks. But my story is, what I want to tell you how I took action. I know
Hmm.
that I was in a bad place, of course, and I had to take medication. I'm not so much a believer in medication. You know this. I believe it's good. It's good for when it's good, but I don't believe it's something that we should live on. I really don't. And Mark, I'm not saying for the people who are in meds out there, I'm not saying that you shouldn't take your meds. I'm just saying that meds is something. If it's supposed to fix something, then it's supposed to fix something, and that thing should be fixed, and we should be over. So my medication scenario is that I was on this meds that they put me on, and I didn't really like it. And I decided that when I started to really feel better, I said to my doctor, I think I want to get off this medication because I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. And he said, oh,
Hmm.
no, you shouldn't get off your medication. You should stay on your medication and don't do that. Don't do that. And anyways, one day I said to myself, you know what? I love my doctor, but I'm not going to listen. So I took myself off the medication. I went back. So I took action because this is my body and this is my life. And I believe
Yes.
that I hear my body way better than my doctor can hear my body.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
believe that I went through this storm, I call it, and I believe that I was good now. And I'm not going to stay in the
Hmm.
storm, this medication. I'm
Right.
not going to stay on this thing forever. I don't want to. And he said,
Yeah.
oh, some people have to live with it. Some people may never be off it. And I'm like, well, that's not going to be me. So I started believing that we're going to be done with this stuff, this meds, because it didn't make me feel good. Anyways, and so I get off it, and I didn't go back to see my doctor till about maybe 2 months, maybe.
Okay.
And I went
Yeah.
back. I said, he said, "Oh, everything is good. You're so good. Your levels are great. You're and the specialist said, um, you're so good. What are you doing?" And I said, I'm not on medication. And she said, you came off your medication? And I'm like, yeah, I did. And she said, why did you do that? Why did you do that without talking to me? And I said, because my body told me that it was time. It was time. I'm eating well. I changed. And that's when I kind of drastically changed my diet and
Mm.
just started cleaning my body and making my body healthy and with
Nice.
food and not meds. And she said, "Well, you're doing so good. Your levels are great. You're amazing. So what have
Mhm.
you been doing?" And I told her that I just changed what I do, how I do my day-to-day routine, and I
Yeah.
started walking, exercising, and thinking positive, because it all goes together. Thinking healthy, thinking health, wealth, thinking success in my body, in my mind, and just that way. And mark you, I never been back on those meds, and
Nice.
that's like 15 years now, right?
Wow.
And every time I still go back, and my doctor still check my levels, and they've
Yeah.
been great since. So I say
Amazing.
that to say I took action. I couldn't, because a lot of times we wait for other people to tell us what to do,
Right.
but I believe our body, our spirit,
Yes.
we're, like you said, we're energy, and we're energy, and
Mhm.
we can hear it. We're talking to ourselves every day.
That's right.
Those cells in our body are talking to us, and we need to listen to
Yes.
them. And I'm
Yes.
not saying that you shouldn't listen to your doctor. Don't get me wrong, you
Yeah.
should, but you can listen to you too, and you
Definitely.
can make decisions based on what you're hearing from you,
Yep.
from that deeper place. So that's my little story of taking action and getting myself to the place where I was confident in my wellness.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
yeah, so it's important. It taking
Definitely.
action is important, and I
Definitely.
know we're at our half an hour mark, and so we just want to give our little closing nuggets, and
Yes.
for her friends who are watching, or who will watch after
Yes.
our recording,
Yes.
and I'll let you go for it.
Excellent. So this whole journey of self development has brought so much information to me, taking me from a state of um, unconscious incompetence where I didn't know what I didn't know, and it's presented me with so much information, so much more information where I can be the person who I am today. And action has been a big part of it. Like if we accumulate knowledge just for the sake of accumulating knowledge, then what will become of us? So we have to take action. This is an exercise of awareness and consciousness. And once we go, we apply the information that we are learning, we can really help ourselves. And in terms of action, implementing smart goals, getting into smart goals, knowing the different types of actions there are: positive actions, reactive actions, and maintenance actions. Having those in your toolkit, your self-development toolkit,
Yes,
can serve you a long way. Tapping into your feelings, your emotions, and being the master of your emotions. Right? Emotions just
yes,
shouldn't be allowed to run freely and randomly, and that's okay when we're young. But as we grow and we get information, we can become the master. And I'm saying that without any inhibitions. We should be the master of ourselves, and self mastery, right, is a great goal. And it's not about arrogance. It's about being in touch, being in tune with who you are,
with who you
knowing
are,
the
definitely.
power that's in you,
Mm-hmm.
right, through your thoughts, through your mind, right, and through taking action. Right, we gotta think it, we gotta feel it, and then we act on it. If we don't
You
act,
gotta do
we
it.
don't create. Right, so um, use these tools that we brought here today. If you want more information, you can reach out to us, beyond.ca. We want to encourage you to join us on this incredible journey. This is our journey, and we want people to join us. We're calling this the hero's journey. You're the hero of your life. You are the
Yes,
hero. You're not your life is not about a victim story. Right, maybe in the beginning, we may have felt that way, but now that we have the information, we have the tools, we're getting on that path of self-development, the path of the hero's journey. So we encourage you to join us at beyond.ca.
yes. And I just want to top off by saying you're not your circumstances. We're not our circumstances. So we can take actions to create the life we desire. And it starts today. So if you weren't doing that, start doing that today. Taking baby steps. You don't have to take a big leap right away, but taking baby steps to get to that place of your desire, and it's different for all of us. So I just want to implore you to go right ahead and act now, because you only have now. You can't see around the corner, and that's why it's so important to do it now. Do it right now, this minute, this hour, this day. And
Yep.
until next time, take
Bye for
care.
now. Bye for
Bye for
now.
now. Bye for now.